What's up, guys? Let's bring you this week's Q&A. So we are going to start with my man Smith Jitsu. Might trigger Uncle Freak with this one, but bench press bothers my shitty jujitsu shoulders, but weighted dips feel good. Am I missing out on anything not benching? Being a man, having testicular fortitude, being a good example to others around you, living a fulfilling life. You are missing out on. No, I'm just kidding, man. No, you're not missing out on anything. I always tell people, like, if something hurts, don't do it, especially if you don't have to. Now, if you're a competitive powerlifter and your shoulder hurts and you've got a meet coming up, pop some ibuprofen and figure it the fuck out. It is what it is, and address the injury afterwards. Find what the cause is, and fix it. With jujitsu being your main goal there, bench press is not necessary at all. It certainly be good to have and be able to do, but if it hurts you, by all means, don't do it, and don't let it take away from your jujitsu. If weighted dips feel good, you're doing fine with that. Do you recommend cutting calories lower week by week or bi-weekly on a cut? I recommend not cutting your calories any further until you stop losing weight. So if you're on a cut, and let's just say you start at 2,500 calories for your cut, and you're tracking your daily averages, and you're losing about 2 pounds every 10 days. So long as you are trending in that direction, don't reduce your calories. There's no need to reduce them as long as you're still losing weight. You don't need to reduce your calories every week by any percent or by any amount, so long as you're still losing weight. And ideally, you would want to keep your calories as high as possible for as long as possible. So I would even when your weight loss slows down, if it's still trending downward, like a half a pound to a pound every 10 days, I would continue doing that. And now I say 10 days because that's how I track when I do track, which I haven't tracked forever. But I just like having 10-day averages because there's a little more data than a weekly average, and making everything divisible by 10 is super duper easy too. I just do it that way. But if you looking week by week, if you were trending down like a pound a week, a pound and a half a week, and that slowed to like 3/4 of a pound a week, or a half a pound a week, I still wouldn't mess with your calories, unless you're like on a I'm going to cut aggressively for the next 6 to 8 weeks or something like that. There's no need to continue cutting your calories as long as you're trending downward. What's your favorite quad/glute accessory? I'm looking for a non-backloading option as I'm already squatting and deadlifting. But yeah, belt squats can be great. The hip thrust machine, like it's I know it's meme worthy and stuff, but just for building your glutes, it's pretty great. For now, it doesn't hit the quads as much, and you're on something with a belt squat for sure. That would probably be the best one for the best of both worlds. But man, like good old quad extensions, leg extensions, those are fantastic as well. They're not spinally loaded, and they're pretty spammable, if your knees can handle it. So there's no reason to look at outside of the box, in my opinion. The simple answers are right there in front of you, so I would stick with those for now. And if you want to experiment with other stuff as you go on, you find other things maybe feel better to you, that's fine. But yeah, belt squats, hip thrust, the machine version of hip thrust, in my opinion, it's just easier to load, easier to maintain, easier to do, and you get better activation, in my opinion. And then leg extensions. Favorite health foods? I like watermelon. Watermelon's my favorite. I like Greek yogurt a lot for its versatility. Um, I'm watermelon, Greek yogurt, eggs. Um, my favorite health foods, I guess. If someone can reverse bench 405 for doubles, what weight do you think they can hit max on conventional bench? It depends on the person. I know people who can reverse grip 4 plates and they can't conventional grip 4 plates. So there's a skill to it. There's no direct one-to-one carryover with that. Advice for doing Zercher only program: don't do a real lift. Don't do Zercher program. What the fuck with Zerchers? If you're dead set on doing Zerchers, they can be okay in their own right, I guess. There's a bazillion other things I would rather do. I'm not the person to ask on that. I would ask somebody who does Zerchers. Like, I've never done a Zercher in my fucking life. I have no desire to do a Zercher. I have no need to do a Zercher. And I was a little tongue in cheek there. They're not bad per se, and maybe to your goals or to whatever you're doing, or maybe you just want a fucking Zercher for the sake of Zerchering, by all means. There's no room for them in my program. No reason to do them. No, I've never dealt with sciatica. Can't answer that question. That one is over my head as well. Do you ever dream about lifting when you're sleeping? If I have, I don't remember it. What are your leg and arm measurements? I don't know. I really don't take measurements. Maybe I'll do that one day for a video, but that's not something I track either. I look at performance first and foremost. That's what I'm after. And then I do look in the mirror and, check out my gains, bro. But I haven't taken measurements in a long time, nor do I do them regularly. In your own experience, at what point more volume becomes unnecessary overkill? I'm a fan of volume. If to an individual, if it starts hurting you or you can't recover from it, or it bleeds into your next session regularly and prevents your next session from being productive, that's when it's too much. Your body does adapt. Some people are better at volume than others. Some people are more fast twitchy and not. So it's one of those things that's going to be highly individual. But again, when it starts being detrimental to the rest of your workouts and or maybe the rest of your life, like you're tired, you can't sleep, you're exhausted all the time, that's something to look at. But the symptoms will be there when it becomes unnecessary and overkill. Are you fully retired from powerlifting, or will there be any meets in your future? So I am retired from powerlifting in the sense of it being my main goal and my main purpose for lifting. However, I'm 99% sure that I'll still compete in another meet or more as I proceed. They're fun to do. I enjoy the environment. I enjoy being at meets. I enjoy the community. And it's something where I can take, 4 to 8 weeks and I stay in a pretty good base shape, and I can peak myself for a meet in pretty little time and still perform decently and, maybe hit some body weight PRs without being completely 100% focused on it year round. Thoughts on combining bodybuilding and strength training? It's one of those things, like, they go hand in hand. They're more similar than they're not, and both of them are going to bleed over into each other. Even if strength is your main goal, you're still going to do some bodybuilding. And if bodybuilding is your main goal, you're still going to be strength training. Now, there's a spectrum here. There's full on 1,000%. My only goals are to move as much weight as humanly possible. And then my only goals are to be as jacked and aesthetic as possible. And almost everybody is going to be somewhere in the middle of that spectrum. And wherever you lie, if you want to be more strong, you got to take a little bit away from the bodybuilding. And if you want to be more bodybuilder, you got to take a little bit away from the strength training. But there's still like 90% of it's all wishy-washy mixed together. So it can certainly be done in conjunction together. But doing one or the other optimally, you're not going to do them both at the same time. The ends of the spectrum. Which will have more effect on the bench press, lat development or upper back development? Spoiler alert, neither one of them are as important as people say they are. As long as you have minimum strength levels of your lats and upper back, you're fine. I never even really trained upper back for a long time, and I did okay bench pressing. Granted, I am pretty predisposed build-wise for being pretty good at bench pressing, but I know a lot of friends from back in the day that, just were fucking bench bros and ended up benching pretty well without necessarily directly training upper back or lats. I think building the muscle thickness, helps, reducing the range of motion by whatever little bits. And the big back, big bench thing, a lot of that came from geared lifting. And geared lifters were some of the first people to put like legit good advice on the internet in regards to lifting. And it's much more important in their world and translates much better directly to bench pressing for them than it does raw lifters. And honestly, like when you're benching, think about when you're holding the bar, near maximal weight over yourself and you're lowering it down, your back muscles are working. Like they're not turned off. Like they're doing something back there. So they're getting a little bit of work anyway. I've never found it to be like a make or break thing in regards to bench press, like a lot of people say it is. Still going to chase 500 bench press at a lower body weight? I don't think I am. I considered bulking to 242 and chasing it at that weight class and maybe going a little over 242 and doing a water cut. But like, and younger me is going to hate myself for saying this, but I don't want to get that big, bro. I've been maintaining 225 to 230. And toying with cutting back down to around 220. My priorities have changed. Health is more in the back of my mind now as I get older. I'm not going to say never, but it's unlikely at this point. I know you were a big bench bro in the beginning, but when did you transition to strength training your whole body, and what was the impetus? And how have your views on training and fitness evolved since then? Because you're quite good at squat and deadlift. It doesn't seem like something you messed around with on the side just because of gym culture or to intercomps. It was just intercomps. That's what got me started on squatting and deadlifting. I uploaded a bench video. I think it was a 405 for 3, wearing like Timbs and jeans and fucking lifting gloves on YouTube. And I just uploaded some bench videos, and some people were like, hey man, you got a good bench, you should check out powerlifting. And I looked into powerlifting and saw that, squat and deadlift were a thing. So that's why I started squatting and deadlifting. It was strictly for competition, and that's what got me started. How my training views changed, the importance of your entire body, and like something like bench press being a full body lift and not necessarily just an upper body lift. I started taking conditioning a lot more seriously as I got deeper into powerlifting. You start looking for those extra edges that you can get. And I take conditioning so serious that every client that I intake, their first block is a conditioning block, and that is not negotiable at all. So I think that's one of the main things that's changed, away from just, getting big and strong, is how important that is. And even if carrying extra body fat and being at an extra, big body weight for the sake of absolute strength, like cardio and conditioning and its importance and mobility and these things matter, is probably kind of the bigger things that I've changed over time. That whole cardio, never heard of her, I don't speak Spanish, is stupid and outdated. Thoughts on Orange Piccolo? I've not seen it yet, so I was glad to see him get a new transformation. Piccolo is my favorite character from DBZ, but I am not on the up and up with all the newer releases, so I can't really have an opinion on that, other than I'm glad that they are showing my boy some love. That is it for this week's Q&A. Peace!